It's time to open your eyes. All right? So, that more, as I said before, these people were the ones who enslaved us and indoctrinated us into their religion. So, everything that we learned about what we're supposed to do in church, how we're supposed to be as far as the Bible is concerned, we learned it from them. So that means if they were opposite of what Christ said, they wasn't bringing us to Christ. They was pushing us away from the real Christ. Go to Matthew 12. And let me see what Christ says about that. Matthew 12, verse 30. Matthew 12, verse 30.
He that is not with me, he is against me, and he that gathereth not with me scattereth abroad.
Now, see, Christ back in Matthew 22 said that you must love thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul, and you must love thy neighbors thyself. That is what a follower of him would be. Then he also goes into John 13, verse 34 through 35. He said, this is how they will know that you are my disciples, that you love one another as I have loved you. So Christ is saying here in Matthew 30, say that he who is not with me is against me. So that means if you're not loving thy neighbor as thyself, you're not with Christ, because you're against him. If you're not holding all the law and the commandments and the things that what the prophets told us in the prophecies, you're all against him. This is not the Vanna words. These are Christ's words. This is not Levanna's opinion. This is what is read in my Bible, and you see it in yours. He said, if you're not with me, you are against me. And read that last part of it. And
he that gathereth not with me scattereth abroad.
That means so that if you're not bringing people to Christ, then you're scattering them. So when these Christians enslaved us, treated us in the manner that they did, and then taught us a watered-down gospel, they didn't bring us to Christ. They scattered us abroad. Can you see that now? Does that make sense? Now, for the sake of time, we're going to let that go, because we're going to get back to that later in a later date. So my question to you today is, how do you control and keep someone as a slave? Number one, you kill and break down the strong and the wise. So there were some people that, some of our people, some of our forefathers, some of our ancestors who got brought up here in slave ships that was very, very strong. The Nat Turners. You know what you do to the Nat Turners? You kill them. Because he was not only trying to be free physically, he had already become free in his mind. Many of our strong and our wise, the elders, they never even made it over to America. They killed them there. You take the weak, you take the children, and you can bring them up. So they don't have any idea who they are. You change their name, you change their way of life. And so now they're going to be dependent upon their master for everything. Their identity, their way of life, their livelihood, their means to eat and survive, their shelter. You take the strong, you take the wise. The ones that are left are dependent upon the master for everything. Number two, you control the information that they have access to. During times of slavery, guess what? It was illegal for a slave to be taught to read. Now, I must inform you that the master was not concerned with Kunta Kinte reading Shakespeare. Okay? That wasn't what he was concerned with. He wasn't worried about him reading Shakespeare. Okay? He wasn't worried about him reading any poems or haikus. He wasn't worried about him reading any folk tales. He was concerned with the slave reading the Bible. So it's funny that you will build me a church and you will come in and teach me and tell the preacher what to preach, but you made it against the law for the slave to be able to read. Because guess what? If he can go and read this Bible for himself, then he will know, number one, who he is, and he will find out, number two, that what you're saying is a lie. So you number one, you kill and you break down the strong and the wise. This was the whole thing about the whipping. You take the wise and the strong, the people that can gather the people, and you whip them in front of everybody. You hang them in front of everybody. You cut the foot off the strong. You beat him down. You take his wife. You rape his wife. You sell her children. You break him down to the point where he all his fight is out of him. And so when the strong go down and when the wise go down, everybody else is going to be very easy to manipulate. And then, so to make sure that the weak don't ever become strong, you control what information that they have access to. All right? And the third thing is you create a new reality based on falsehoods. And this reality that was created was brought into effect after the so-called slavery ended. We created a new falsehood. We started building churches. You started giving the people the opportunity to serve in your church and whatever the case may be. And you gave them a new reality based on falsehood. And you begin to tell them that they were somebody else, which in actuality they were not. We're going to get into that in the weeks to come, but that's going to take a long time. But for the sake of time today, we're going to conclude with this. Go to 2 Samuel. This is what we're going to be concluding today. It's time to open your eyes. 2 Samuel, the 4th chapter. And we're going to tell you show you here how significant having the wrong information means to your life. 2 Samuel, the 4th chapter. I'll read verse 4 here. Now, let me give you some background on this. Just a brief background so you can understand what this is talking about. If you go back in the chapters of Samuel, I think around 1 Samuel 10, don't quote me on that, 1 Samuel 10, 9 and 10. No, we're going to have to go back a little farther than that. But anyway, Israel, the nation of Israel began to want a king like the rest of the nations. The Most High had been stated to them like, look, I'm going to be your king. I sent you prophets to declare the truth to you, but I'm going to be your leader. I'm all you need. But the children of Israel was so determined to have a king, so the Most High chose a man by the name of Saul. He was from the tribe of Benjamin to be the king. And Saul started out wonderful. He was a righteous man. He obeyed the Lord's commandments. He kept the Lord's commandments, and he did he walked right in the ways of the Most High. But somewhere along the way, he got off path and he began to do things that the Most High told him not to do. And if you go into 1 Samuel 15, specifically, the Most High told him to take out this nation that was harming them and to take everybody out, man, boy, woman, and girl, and to kill all the animals and not to do anything. But Saul decided to keep some of the best things for himself, to keep the king alive, and to do some other things that the Most High told him not to do. This angered the Most High, and he told Samuel, the prophet Samuel, to go and tell him that he was done as king and there was going to be anointed a new king. 1 Samuel 16, you see that the Most High sends Samuel to Bethlehem, and he goes and anoints the son of Jesse, which we know today as David. Fast forward, around 13 years, it took 13 years for David to become king. Saul was determined to hold on to the kingship. Different battles between the two different groups. And ultimately, Saul and his son Jonathan were killed. Now, what they didn't know, or what Saul didn't know, and the people that of Jonathan's people didn't know, that David and Jonathan were the best of friends. They had made a pact to protect one another, and Jonathan had submitted to the fact that the Lord had chose him, David, to be king instead of Jonathan, which was in line to be king. He submitted to what the Most High said. He submitted to David, and he vowed to protect him. But just like any good son, he remained